Hello, manifestors. Hey, Happy New Year. Haven't been with you for a couple of weeks because of all the holiday stuff, and so I'm glad to be back with you. Today I want to talk about beliefs. Well, I want to talk about beliefs and stories. So, in manifesting, sometimes some of the biggest hurdles is really our beliefs and the stories we create around our emotions and our beliefs. So I'm going to give you some personal examples, not of stories, but of experiences, but how I could have created beliefs and stories around those experiences. So 2018 was an interesting year. It was, the latter part of it was really very difficult. I got in a major accident in August where I almost lost my life. And all the things that come around that, right? The pain. I mean, here it is January, and last week I just got released from medical care for that. And I also had 2 friends die. And that makes me tearful. Give me a moment. Thank you. So because I had lost so much time from work, when their memorial services came up, I couldn't go. And that was so, number one, amazingly hard to lose friends and then not to be there, right, for their celebration of life. And so those experiences tied in with the accident, I could have gotten a lot of beliefs around that, right? Beliefs that, things are always getting in my way, that I'm not safe, all of these things. And of course I worked through some of those struggles because it was a long time before I could get back in the car, because the accident, I was one of 6 hit, and it was very horrific. But I could have created a story. And the story may have looked something like, here's my belief that I'm not safe, that death is all around me. And I could have created a story that said, I can't do any healing on any level. I can't go to memorial services. I'm in perpetual pain from the accident, all those things. And even though that I had plenty of emotion around these things, I did not create a belief and I didn't create a story. And the question is, why? Because I know in everyday life, in manifesting, which is what I call it, right, is that it's not magic, it's everyday life. In manifesting, things happen. Things that you have no control over, things that are totally unexpected, things that will change and disrupt your whole world. And some in really big ways, right? So if you have a very hard time with change, this can be very, very tremendously difficult. But I didn't create a story around it because I dealt with the emotions. And that's what I think happens. Why people, get excited about manifesting, life happens, and then they stop. And they stop because they have beliefs. They stop because they create stories rather than deal with the emotions. So, because sometimes those emotions are so huge, they're so big, and you've pushed those down, after everything, each thing that's happened, you push it down, 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 and then you get a belief around it, right? And then you create a story around it. So the belief, might look like, I'm not lovable. I'm not beautiful enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not whatever, because you've had these experiences that happen over and over and over. And so the emotion around that could be so deeply painful that you just keep pushing it down. And, you go through life, you go day after day, but see, the emotions are still there. And they've created this belief for you, right? Because instead of looking at the things that happen individually, you've lumped them all together. And you've lumped them all together and you project them into the future because your perception, right? You've built your perception to look at things in that way. Because the first event where it happened probably was so painful and so surprising to you that it shifted your perception. So all you could see, rather than individual events happening, was things that upheld and supported your belief around that. Okay, so there's your belief, and then you create a story. Your story that says, no matter what I do, no matter how I try to be in the world, I'm just not lovable. And, people don't stay in my life, they don't do this, they don't do that. I start great relationships, and somehow they never work out, so, wow. And that can lead to really big things like depression. So, let me take a drink of my coffee. So there are ways to work through that personally, but again, if you are dealing with depression and you haven't seen a therapist or a doctor, I really urge you to do that. Depression is a real thing. It is very debilitating, and there is a lot of help out there for that. So what are the ways that you can work through it personally? How can I help you? I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice. All I'm telling you is what I've done, and it may or may not be helpful to you. So it is really incredibly hard to look at things individually, right? Why? Because we're trying to make sense. We've got these minds that try to make sense out of all the pieces to put them into a picture that we can understand, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally. And sometimes, this is really hard, but sometimes it's okay to let random things be random, because a lot of times random things are random if you can look at it really individually. Once you train your mind to say that I do not have to lump all these things together, that everything that happens can be an individual or random event, then the brain starts to look at it very differently, and it gets a different kind of perspective, right? And so, you could, I'm going to use a really bad analogy probably. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a pretty bad analogy, but I don't know what else to do with this. If you go into a garden and you see all the flowers, you could definitely say this is a garden of flowers, but you would miss the fact that there are irises and roses and daffodils and all these individual things, and they have something in their own right. Yep, there's always the bigger picture. Everything's always connected. That's a garden, a flower garden. But if you only look at it as a flower garden, you'll never see the beauty or the importance of each individual flower and what that can do for you, how you can interact with that. So, not the greatest analogy, but I think you get it, I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. But your mind has been working so long and so hard probably to bring everything together into some sort of coherence that, you've trained your mind and also your emotions to react that way. So when you are manifesting, that can be a really big hurdle, because you have created these belief systems and these stories to back up the belief systems to make them infallible. So now what you have to do is deconstruct the story. You have to question the beliefs, and that can be a really scary process, because you've probably built a good portion of your life on that, right? But listen, it can also be a very liberating process. So you have to ask questions like, when these things come up, is that true? How do I know that's true? Right? And you can't use past things as proof, because remember, I told you you've already put all of your things together in some coherence. So you're going to have to look for facts outside of those things, right? So if you say something like, I'm not lovable, you can't go back to these past instances as fact, because remember I told you you've created a coherence, a story on that. So you have to look for facts to support that belief outside of it. So then you begin to ask, like, well, is every person I meet, think that I'm unlovable? Is there anyone that supports me? Oh, if there's someone that supports you, well, then you have to start really questioning that belief, right? Well, there's that one friend. Nope. Even if there's just one that has shaken your fact foundation, right? And so you begin to question your beliefs. Is that true? How do I know that's true? Where are the facts outside of my past experience? Where are the facts for that? And how does it make me feel to believe that belief? You know, because if it's not making you feel great to believe that belief, oh my goodness, seriously, get a new belief. You know, liberate yourself. I know, oh Patricia, that sounds so easy. No, it is not easy. You know, when you do this, you're on a mission, but it's a mission that changes your life. It changes everything, and if you're consistent about it. And that's the other thing, you know, you have to work this and be totally consistent. So, we make a lot of assumptions, you know, that people are certain ways and they're that way because, you know, of whatever, like, you know, models. You know, models, people think models are beautiful, and, you know, the question is, do models think that they themselves are beautiful? Well, you might go, well, hello, why would they question that? So you don't know how somebody is feeling inside, even though they may be doing the work, right? I mean, we have anorexia, bulimia, we have depression, we have all these sorts of things. And we don't know what that person is going through. So to make an assumption, successful people, oh, well, you know, they feel rich or they feel successful. Well, maybe they struggle every day with thinking they may lose what they have. We don't know. We make assumptions about what we think we see in the world. And we take those and say, well, if that is the model, if that's, you know, how that looks, you know, beauty or success, then I can't have that, right? So you have to understand that beauty and success, all the things that we experience in life are individualistic. When you let society try to tell you what that looks like, you run into a wall that you will never get through, because you have a belief that you have to look like this or be like this to be beautiful or successful. Your success in manifesting may look totally different than my success in manifesting. Your sense of beautiful may totally look different than my personal sense of beautiful, right? And so this is really an individual road for you. It is for all of us. And what I'm trying to help you with in manifesting is to understand the road you're on, to own your road, right? Question your beliefs, deconstruct your stories, be around people, you know, do things that support and lift you up. So if you're feeling alone, you know, find ways to not be alone, even though I know that can be really hard when you just want to get in your cave and you want to shut off the world. Yet, you know, you might be experiencing that right now and you're watching this video. And the question is, you know, why would you watch a video that might help you if you really don't want to be helped? So those are things to consider, right? So the mind, you know, because it's going down those neural pathways, right? And they're hitting boom, 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 and they're creating emotions. We have to build new neural pathways to create new emotions. You're not going to be happy all the time. You're not going to be sad all the time, you know, but to not look at your emotions and to think you should always be happy, I don't know. I know there are some people who teach that, and that's great, but I'm a human being, and part of being a human being is having the whole range of emotions. And when I make some of those bad, you know, then that creates belief systems, that creates stories, rather than just to feel the emotion. Okay, I'm sad. I'm sad that my friends died. You know, the pain caused me a lot of sadness. So I looked at that, you know, I claimed that was what I was feeling. And through that, and through tenderness and love and supporting myself, I was able to get through that. Of course, I also, you know, thank the friends who sent me energy and love and healing and were there for me to, you know, take me places and do stuff when I couldn't drive. So, you know, that you know, we really do have a support system. Sometimes it might not be apparent to us, and sometimes we might be one of those people like, oh no, I don't want to put people out. You know, call on people. People want to help. They want to be there for you. So that's my talk this week. It's starting off the new year. Let's look at your beliefs. Let's look at your stories. You know, is it time to change your beliefs? Is it time to deconstruct your stories? It may very well be. I have some new videos out, or not videos, some new hypno downloads that I put on my website. One is for anxiety, and it has a very cool technique that I've developed that really helps with anxiety. And the other one is if you have insomnia or sleep problems. And then there is the manifesting course out there with the ebook. So the manifesting course is hours of manifesting, or hypno hours, and then the ebook, and they go together. And that is at a new permanent price together for $45. So you need to, when you go to my website, click on both the ebook and the manifesting hypnos. So the hypnos will be $35 and the ebook $10, so together they're $45. The other two, the anxiety and the sleep hypno, are both $15. You can find those at www.balancedmanifesting.com. I would love to have your support. I'm going to have new hypnosis products out, and I'm thinking about working on a manifesting book and workbook. So that's a project that I'm working on. Hey, if you're in the area, come and see us at Sacred Space Spiritual Center. We're at 2111 Front Street Northeast, Salem, Oregon, 97301. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing this video with others. That would be awesome. And if you would please subscribe, that really helps me. So I'm trying to get more subscribers. So by your sharing and your subscribing, that would be a blessing to me. And so gifting back that energy would be awesome. All right. So here's how we end every time together. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, I love myself. I love you. Thank you. Namaste.